Welcome in 9-3 after 12 games of play, and high atop the AFC is where the Miami Dolphins find themselves. I am your host of Dolphins Today, Jake Patrick Flanagan Riepma, and it is time to dive into a little AFC playoff talk because with just 5 games remaining, that playoff picture is starting to take form. If you're a Dolphins fan like I am, it looks pretty good for the Aqua and Orange. So, after 13 weeks of action, here is exactly where we stand. Obviously, the Dolphins high atop the AFC East, and if the season ended right now, they would be the number 1 seed overall, which means a first-round bye. That is huge, which we'll talk more about in a moment, but obviously battling with Baltimore, who's also 9-3, Kansas City 8-4, the Jags, after their Monday Night Football loss to Cincinnati, they also lost Trevor Lawrence, are 8-4. Your wild cards, the Colts, shocking. Shane Steichen's first year as head coach going very well in Indianapolis. The Browns and Steelers. So obviously that AFC North right now, as it stands, could get 3 teams in. Also, can't forget about the Houston Texans, Broncos, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Chargers and Raiders all in it at 5-7. I should have said Denver, Buffalo, Cincinnati all 6-6. Houston 7-5. So all that said, it's a lot to digest, it's a lot to break down, all that good stuff. But I kind of like to simplify things. And I found this on the interweb, so you know it's very accurate. But seriously, it is a good way to think about it where the Dolphins are right now. So there's a 99% chance that the Dolphins make the playoffs. Now, as we start to project even further forward, a bye week is obviously the most coveted spot of the position in the playoffs because that would mean you're the number 1 seed and have home field advantage throughout. 27% chance, and this is all based on a number of simulations. You see in the bottom left there, over 250,000 simulations. There's a better than 70% chance the Dolphins will host in that first round, host the wild card, and less than a 5% chance that they will be a wild card team. There'd have to be some pretty crazy things that have to happen. So, again, after 12 games, the Dolphins have really taken care of business, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. The remaining schedule, which we'll take a look at it in a moment, has some winnable games, also has some very tough games as well. Now, also with that said, it's important to kind of speculate and maybe project a little bit of where the Dolphins should be when this season ends. So, I want you to get creative with me and rank your confidence level in the Dolphins earning that number 1 seed. Because it's okay to be a little bit greedy as a fan and think that this is a realistic possibility. So, how confident are you in the Dolphins earning that number 1 seed? Scale it for me, 1 through 10. All right, I honestly think it's about an 8, maybe even a 9, because here's the little kicker that I haven't mentioned yet. 4 out of the Dolphins' next 5 games are at home, and I think they're going to be favored in at least 3 to 4, and I know we don't play the games on paper. I would never even pretend to suggest that, but you got games against teams that you should beat, and maybe even beat soundly, beginning with that Monday Night Football game against the Tennessee Titans. You've also got the Jets on the schedule still, but also some tough games as well against the Ravens, Cowboys, and Bills to close it out. So, all of that said, I think home field advantage is certainly a must for this Dolphins team, and that number 1 seed is definitely not out of the realm of possibilities, especially when you consider a little uncertainty with the Jags. You got the Ravens head-to-head, so take care of business there. And if the Dolphins go out and do what they're capable of doing, I think we'll be pretty pleased with when the dust settles where the Dolphins are in terms of the playoff picture. Coming up, we're going to talk more about that home field advantage, but right now, got to give a huge shout-out to today's presenting sponsor. That is PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS is where you need to go to play some daily fantasy sports. At this point in the season, I know your fantasy team sucks and they're out of the playoffs, so forget the team thing and play daily fantasy sports where it's simple. You either pick more or less on a player's projected stat line, and the fun begins. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. We love you and we care about you, so we'll put the link right in the chat. and the description of today's video. But here is what I'm working with for this Monday night game. I'm already getting ahead of it, and you can't change my mind. Tua Tagovailoa, I'm picking more than 286.5 passing yards. He had 280 against the Commanders, so I think he can step it up and get just 7 more yards. Tyreek Hill, you know he's a human cheat code. We talked about it at length. On pace for over 2,000 yards in the season. That's never happened before. So, of course, I'm picking more than 104.5 receiving yards. Now, Will Levis, a lot of questions out there still. Unproven rookie, so I'm going to play safe and pick less. Now, again, you can do a power play where you got to get every single one correct, or a flex play where you got to get 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 and so on and so forth. But that's how it works. Tons of fun. Quit wasting any more time. Go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS and tell them Jake sent you. I'm just kidding. You don't have to tell them that. But PrizePicks.com/CLNS. We got a $100 deposit match waiting for you. Now, the remaining schedule is an important component to thinking about the playoff picture. Now, again, I'll say it. The games are not played on paper. We get that. However, when you take a look at who the Dolphins have coming up, there's some games that, without getting out ahead of ourselves, we can kind of circle as a likely victory to help continue to put the Dolphins in that position for A, first-round bye, and B, home field advantage throughout. Now, that game against the Cowboys, whoa, that's going to be a tough one. That is going to be a tough one. There is no doubt about it. Christmas Eve, lots going on. But, hey, it's at home. We love that. So, again, I don't know how many times I have to say it. I'm not getting out in front of myself. I promise you that. But Tennessee Titans at home, Monday Night Football, feel really good about that one. We saw what the Dolphins did to the Jets on Black Friday. Feel pretty good about that one at home as well. Cowboys, going to be a tough matchup. We'll see what the Dolphins are made of. At Baltimore, circle that baby in aqua and orange ink or whatever color highlighter you have, because that is going to be a prove-it game. And then week 18, who knows? There could be an opportunity to maybe, dare I say, rest the starters. But that said, also at home, and you think about it as a revenge game, I think this Dolphins team wants to get their revenge from what happened earlier in the season against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. All of that said, 4 of the next 5 games remaining are at home. And I feel really good about that for the Dolphins, considering they are 15-2 in their last 17 games at home. Really impressive there. And they should be favored in several of those games, including their next 3, which is also a testament to what they've accomplished throughout this season so far. So stay locked in with us. Wall-to-wall Dolphins coverage throughout the course of the season. A Dolphins video every day. Live shows, and, of course, our live watch parties. Never miss a moment. We've got all things covered for the Aqua and Orange and keeping you up to date on everything. And that, my friends, is why you subscribe. We've seen this channel grow and grow and grow, and that's a testament to each and every one of you. Help us reach our next milestone, which is right around the corner. Now, the Hard Rock stuff is interesting. The Dolphins playing at Hard Rock Stadium, I should say, because they've been incredible, especially this season. They've been really, really good. In fact, undefeated good at home, and 15 of their last 17 games they've won at home. And a lot of that has to do with how well Tua has played at home. And you see it there on the bottom of your screen, 18-4 in his career in games at Hard Rock Stadium. That, my friends, is pretty impressive. And when you think about 4 of the last 5 games being at home, you got to feel pretty good, especially considering how good Tua has been at home. We showed you this earlier in the week, but it's worth showing you again. Look at the home and away splits for Tua Tagovailoa. At home, 14 touchdowns compared to just the 4 interceptions. And that's not to knock his play on the road. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into road games. They've played the tougher teams in their schedule on the road, so that's going to have something to do with it as well. But you get the point that we're making. More passing yards on the road, but that has a lot to do with playing 7 more games on the road, or 7 games on the road and 5 games at home. So 2 more games on the road than at home. And yeah, that's a great point as well. Better weather in Miami. And as we told you earlier in the show, the Hard Rock Stadium architectural design is brilliant to let the Dolphins be in the shade and the away team in the sun. So lots of factors. And the bottom line is the Spark Notes version. You know I love to give you the goods. And that is the Dolphins are a tough team to beat at home. And they need to clinch home field advantage and hopefully even get that number 1 seed. So let's look into our crystal ball and get our prediction hat on. Let me know in the comments. Predict The Dolphins' final record, what will it be? I have a feeling this Dolphins team can win 4 of their last 5 games. And that's pretty optimistic, but hey, why not? I am optimistic, so finishing the season at 13-4 would be an incredible accomplishment under Mike McDaniel in year number 2 at the helm, and I believe that they can get there. So let me know what you think, but we can all agree it's going to be a fun run down the stretch of the regular season and into the playoffs, and we'll be with you every single step of the way. So make sure you subscribe to Dolphins Today.